Hey guys, today we are going to be building a giant vortex chiller to use with this giant Roscoe fog machine for Halloween. Now, a vortex chiller you would use in order to make the fog sit really low to the ground. You can make it roll out. I'm going to be following a tutorial from Halloween Form by a guy named Human. So we are going to get diving into this and hopefully it turns out well. The list of supplies on this tutorial were a 32-gallon trash can, some lengths of 3-inch PVC pipe, some lengths of 1/2-inch PVC pipe, 4 3-inch closet flanges, some weather stripping, 1 4-way 1/2-inch PVC connector, and 4 90-degree 1/2-inch PVC adapters, a 3-inch 90-degree PVC elbow. And then I'm going to try adding my own little flair to this. Roscoe recommends this for adding fans to fog machines. I don't know if this will work, but I got this little 3-inch inline fan right here. So we are going to put that in there and the fog will run through here and hopefully get a little bit of a boost. Additionally, they recommended using an 18-inch pizza screen. I don't have one of those. I have one on order, but it's not going to be here for another couple of days. So in the meantime, just to test this out, I have some 1/2-inch metal mesh. As far as tools go, you'll need a PVC cutter, some kind of a saw to cut the larger PVC. If you want to make really nice holes in the trash can, you'll want a 3-inch hole saw, a measuring tape, trusty old Sharpie, or some way to mark where you want to put your cuts on the can. And if you really wanted to go all out, some PVC cement, and that would help everything hold together. They also painted theirs black. I don't have black spray paint, but I may go ahead and do that once it's complete. We are going to start out here by building up the frame inside that holds up the mesh. For that, you're going to need 4 12-inch pieces of 1/2-inch PVC. And for this style 32-gallon trash can, I'm going to need 4 14.5-inch pieces of PVC. So we're just going to go ahead and mark where we want our cuts. With those marked out, we're going to get our PVC cutter and just cut them off. It looks like our lengths are pretty close enough for this. I don't know what I had in my mind when I said they had to be 14.5 inches long. That I have no idea where that number came from. They need to be 7.5 inches long. So we're going to go ahead and take these and cut these down just a little bit more. Now that we have the correct length pipes, we're going to go ahead and put this together. So I'm going to take the 4-way PVC connector and plug one of these 7.5-inch pipes into each side of it. Each one of these is going to get a 90-degree elbow. And then into those 90-degree elbows, we'll go the 12-inch pieces of PVC. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a smack to make sure everything is all the way in. Next, we're going to go ahead and make sure that this fits and fits snugly. So we'll just take it, and this is going to sit in the bottom of the trash can, and that is a perfect fit. It turns out that my PVC cement is actually completely trash. It's just solid in there. So we're going to go ahead and use some purple primer. It's not cement, but it should help hold everything in place. This doesn't need to be very strong, and you probably don't even need to do this. It just makes me feel a little better. So we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of our cement, or in my case primer, and just put it around. Slide the fitting in. Now our 4 legs are put together and we just need to go ahead and connect them. And have to remember the 12-inch section is what sits down on the ground and the shorter section is what connects into that 4-way adapter. Again, now that this is put back together, we will just place it in to make sure it still fits. Perfect. Next thing we're going to do is cut 2 holes in this trash can so that the smoke can get in and out. Make sure you have your trusty helper dog there. On one side, the center of the hole is going to be at 5 inches. And on the other side, it is going to be at 8 inches from the bottom. And make our little mark. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our 3-inch hole saw and just run a couple of holes through the can. Next, we're going to need a 2-foot section of 3-inch PVC. Let's go ahead and measure that out. And you do not need to use a Sawzall, but I have it, so it'll make it easier. A hacksaw will work just fine for this. Next, we're going to need a 6.5-inch piece of 3-inch PVC. We're going to need a few other pieces of 3-inch PVC as well, just because my flanges are a little bit different than the ones in the tutorial. Next, we're going to want to attach our flanges. Going to end up drilling 2 1/4-inch holes through the plastic here, so we can put a flange on the inside and outside of the can. And we're going to use some 1/4-20 bolts, about 1.5 inches long, in order to attach them to each other. So we're going to go ahead and line this up. Do our best to center it. Put a little mark. And put a little mark. Now we'll go ahead and drill our holes. Now that our holes are drilled, we'll go and do a quick test fit. And that fits pretty darn well. Next, we're going to go ahead and finish mounting the inner flange. Not going to go ahead and tighten those down 100% yet. As you can see, the flange, as they come together, they do flatten out the plastic to make a good seal, so that way we aren't going to have lots of leaking. Doesn't really matter, but makes for a nicer finished product. Now we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other set of flanges. Go ahead and line that up. And none of these measurements or placements are absolutely critical for these flanges. It just kind of has to be there. Do our test fit, make sure we got our holes in the right place. Which we do. Go ahead and put the other flange on. Now we have both of our flanges in place. We have our table done. We just have to make up a couple of pipes. Next, we'll assemble the pipes that go inside the trash can. I'm going to take the short piece of PVC and the 90-degree elbow, put them together. Make sure they're nice and snug. And this is going to go into the higher of the two flanges. On the other side of this elbow, we're going to put our long vertical piece. Here we go. And this is too tall. Apparently I have a different trash can than the one that was in the tutorial because these pipes were slightly incorrect for their lengths. So off camera I went ahead and shortened this and lengthened this part in order to fit the trash can. According to the tutorial, the top of this pipe should be roughly 2 inches from the bottom of the lid. And this pipe was just sort of by feel, so it would fit correctly with the table. And that'll make sense in just a minute when we put this together. When putting this together, this pipe goes in the lower of the two flanges. I'll get that started in there. And then grab a hammer or a mallet. Mallet's preferable, but I can't find mine. So if you're using a hammer, just be a little bit careful that you don't crack it. Makes for some curious dogs too. Dogs are the required helpers for this project. Just make sure you remember that. There you can see the pipes in place. We'll go ahead and put the table frame in. I'm going to go ahead and zip tie this together just to hold this pipe up and give a little bit more clearance for that pipe. If I were going to do this again, I think I would probably move this flange over a little bit to the side so that it has more room for airflow. Just put a few zip ties together. So there is the inside of this whole unit. Next, we need to go ahead and cut out a piece of wire mesh or your pizza tray if you have that. Got my wire mesh here, and I'm just going to go ahead and ballpark this, especially since it's temporary. And we are just going to go around and cut out a circle. World's worst circle, but again, it's only temporary. And we do need to cut out a hole for this pipe. This is what is going to support the ice. This mesh probably isn't strong enough, especially how I cut it out. But again, it's only temporary. It's been a couple of days and I finally got in my pizza tray. So we're going to go ahead and replace the little wire mesh with this, which should be much stronger. I'm just going to kind of eyeball placement here and take a Sharpie. And I'm going to draw a circle around where I want to cut. Grab a set of safety glasses. Going to be using my Dremel here with, this is an 1.5" metal cutting blade. They're pretty easy to come by. You don't have to use this. You could go around with nippers and do it, but I'm going to try this and hopefully it works okay. Go ahead and take a piece of pipe here, just it's easier to see if it fits. Great. And now the big question is, how centered will this be? So go ahead and pull out. Go ahead and pull out this old wire mesh. That's trash. Now, my placement's kind of off, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut out a little bit more around here so that it sits a bit more centered. If I'd measured a bit more carefully, this wouldn't have been a problem, but that's what I get. As my father taught me, measure once, cut once, go to the store, buy a new piece of material, come back, cut again, and maybe have to go back to the store again. I think that's how that lesson worked. No? Okay, so I think I know the problem with my measurement. This is not sitting perfectly straight. It tilts back at an angle. So where I had this placed is fine up here, but down there, because this is at an angle, it's not anymore. So it's actually sitting more like here. So unfortunately, I'm going to take out even more over there. Well, kind of bummed about this, that the fit is so junky, but that's my own darn fault, and I'm not about to go and buy another one of these just to fix that. There we go. That's pretty good. But now, unfortunately, we've got this. Fortunately, we have this big opening right here that I got for screwing up my measurements. So we'll see if we can come up with a way to fill that in a bit so ice doesn't fall right through it. What I'm going ahead here and doing is taking this little piece of scrap. I'm going to cut out a little bit of a notch here and fill in that hole, and then use some, I guess, like some metal wire to go ahead and sort of wrap that and hold it in place. Give you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. I think this will do it. We're going to go ahead and put that in there, and hopefully it'll stay in place. Well, this is not the wire that I was hoping for, just some picture hanging wire, but it should do just fine. Take a length of wire here, cut it off, and I'm just kind of trying to weave this on in here. It's good enough. Cut that little excess off, and we'll just... There we go, completed vortex chiller. We've got the tray to hold the ice, we've got weather stripping on here, we've got all the fittings in place, and we have a lid. So you fill it up with ice, run the fog into this pipe, comes out the other side. As far as getting the fog out, other people have suggested, and I've had very good luck with this perforated drain tube. You can get it for fairly cheap at Home Depot or Menards or whatever your local hardware store is. It comes collapsed like this. As you can see, it's been scored. So when you when you expand it, it's full of these little holes. And that allows the fog to come out a bit more evenly distributed. And that's all there is to this. Please go ahead and like this video, subscribe, hit the bell icon. It's all very helpful to me. And if you go ahead and make this, please take some pictures and comment. That way I can see what you built. It's always wonderful to see when things have been helpful to other people. So have fun and happy Halloween.